Be a catalyst for development in Africa? Here is our interview with John Lombela.
It's going to be a pretty unique show where we're talking to digital entrepreneurs and Black entrepreneurs that are actually doing great things. Let it be in the marketing space, let it be in cryptocurrency. And I brought back John Lombela, a good friend of mine who's been playing in that space for quite a while. John Lombela. John is the cryptocurrency guru. I call him like that.
I'm an entrepreneur myself, all the way from South Africa. It is important to always develop new things, right? So ambitiously build new cases beyond just financial services. Yes, we believe in the financial services. I mean, Bitcoin, as a matter of fact, was created as a payment system, a peer-to-peer cash electronic system. It all started from there, but it doesn't have to stop there.
So, can blockchain be a catalyst for development in Africa? Here is our interview with John Lombela.
It's going to be a pretty unique show where we're talking to digital entrepreneurs and Black entrepreneurs that are actually doing great things. Let it be in the marketing space, let it be in cryptocurrency. And I brought back John Lombela, a good friend of mine who's been playing in that space for quite a while. John Lombela. John is the cryptocurrency guru. I call him like that.
I'm an entrepreneur myself, all the way from South Africa. It is important to always develop new things, right? So ambitiously build new cases beyond just financial services. Yes, we believe in the financial services. I mean, Bitcoin, as a matter of fact, was created as a payment system, a peer-to-peer cash electronic system. It all started from there, but it doesn't have to stop there. Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Redefine Your Hustle show. And today I've got one amazing guest. She is an author, a speaker. She is Africa's enthusiast, the one and only Nicky Verd. And by the way, on this specific show and episode, we are giving away 2 books signed by her to 2 lucky winners. And the only thing that you need to do on this particular show for you to get access to the book, definitely, is first of all, engage, like, share this particular live with your peers, with your network. Invite other folks to actually come on here. My team at the end of the show is going to randomly select two winners, right? But I mean, for you to be able to win these things, you got to be following me on this particular live. You need to also have an opportunity to ask Nicky Verd some amazing questions. So she is from Cameroon initially, but I mean, obviously, I will actually let her to introduce herself. And she's one of a sensational African entrepreneurs, ladies, who is quite vocal when it comes to talking about the fourth industrial revolution. Quite an interesting topic that certainly is creating a lot of buzz out there. I mean, before the pandemic, this whole issue around the fourth industrial revolution caused a lot of chaos. Not really chaos, but I mean, kind of steer some fear to people, especially when it comes to their jobs and things like that. So, Nikki is coming through today to explain to us exactly what this whole 4IR entails. So I'm pretty excited. And without further ado, let me actually welcome Nikki on the show. Hello, Nikki.
Hi. Thank you for having
Amazing.
me.
And I love your t-shirt, by the way.
Thank
Disrupt
you.
yourself.
I'll be disrupted.
Well, look, I'm looking forward to having an amazing show. And just as a reminder for everybody watching right now, every Monday at 7 p.m., we host an entrepreneur. At least, if not an entrepreneur, in her case, she is an author. She likes to be known pretty much as an author and a speaker, but somebody who certainly can inspire other young entrepreneurs out there across Africa. And I'm going to let Nicky Verd to introduce herself so she can actually tell us more about her credentials and what she does and why she's actually wearing a beautiful t-shirt like that. Disrupt yourself. And we're going to be talking about that. Come on, Nikki, go ahead and talk to the audience right now.
Hello, everyone. And thank you so much, John, for having me on this amazing show, Redefine Your Hustle. I love it. And yes, as John has already said, my name is Nicky Verd, for those who don't know me. And so I am the author of the hit book, Disrupt Yourself or Be Disrupted. And so the t-shirt is just part of the book,
Okay.
and so basically the title of the book, Disrupt Yourself or Be Disrupted. And I am a speaker. I speak on digital disruption. I speak on innovation. I speak about people creating their own economies. I speak generally on the fourth industrial revolution, so to say, and emerging technologies and how we can embrace it instead of being so technophobia and like, no, this thing is not for us, this thing is not for Africa, that kind of thing. So I basically try to let the layperson embrace this thing. Like, look, technology is your friend. Embrace it and become part of the revolution. So that is basically what I do, and that's a quick intro of Nicky Verd.
Well, look, there's one question that strikes me here. Why African enthusiast? I mean, of course, I've gone through your LinkedIn and quite a few other things. Why Africa's? By the way, tell us where you're from as well.
Oh yes, I'm originally from Cameroon. I have been living in South Africa for over a decade, but I'm from Cameroon. And sadly, unlike John, who is from DRC, but he can very much speak French, I can't speak French to save my life, even though I come from a country that speaks 80% French, So don't ask me anything in French, hopefully, please.
Well, listen, the audience. This is a show where we want to encourage you, there's quite a few interesting topics. Okay, I've listed about probably 10 nuggets, and trust me, this is going to be amazing. This is the kind of conversation that I love, where we throw in things that really disrupt your mind, right? And those are the things that we are going to be talking about right now. And I definitely encourage you to share the live. And by the way, I like this when we are interacting. Tell me where you're actually dialing from, whether you're dialing from the US or Nigeria or Ghana or the DRC or somewhere in Asia. I've got quite a lot of people actually watching me from different places. And yeah, so Nikki, the one thing that I want to talk about first of all is, of course, we are going to talk about your book, okay, which is the essence of this conversation, by the way. And uh, by the way, if you don't mind, please show me. Do you have the book with you there, and you can show
Yep,
the audience what your book looks like? And that's the cover. Disrupt yourself and be
I'll be
disrupted. So
disrupted.
what I want to tell the audience
And for
is
me.
Yeah, I want you to tell the audience exactly your journey towards writing the book. What really led you to write the book? And tell us exactly about all the ingredients that people need to know when they have to write a book. I have a lot of people asking me questions. You know what? Can you please put me through in touch with Vusi Temekwayo? I would like to write a book. I would like to speak to them and find out exactly how to write a book. Some people go on Google and actually research how to write a book. What are the things? But please tell the audience what really led you to writing this book. And it's a beautiful, beautiful title. I would like to know more, and also let's inspire the audience as well as much as possible.
Awesome. Wow. On the part of how to write the book, I really don't know if I qualify for that. But yes, I will tell you my journey. However, back in 2016, I was in the corporate world. I mean, I was at the very beginning of what I thought was my life journey, my purpose, or whatever.
Right,
And I got retrenched from the job in which I was literally holding on to for dear life, in 2016. I did
right.
not see the retrenchment coming. And when it happened, it hit me like, oh my God, I was shattered. Like, to say I was even shattered is an understatement. I was a mess. I was a hot mess. And
Right.
so when the retrenchment happened, I was like, wow, okay. First, I was angry, really angry. I was like, I'm too young for this. Some old people should be retrenched. Like that was the kind of mindset I had, right? So I'm looking at old people that I thought this should have been retrenched, not me. Like, trying this game. I'm still
Right.
looking at climbing the famous corporate ladder, and someone just pulled it from underneath me. So I was angry, and I had a few people in my mind that I knew they were supposed to be retrenched, not me. However, when the anger subsided and my sanity started coming back, the question at the back of my mind was, but what is driving retrenchment at the rate in which it's driving retrenchment? Because back from
Okay.
2016 in South Africa, of course, you've been living here. It's been like a bloodbath, for people being laid off. With COVID-19, it is just a slaughterhouse. It's worse, so we cannot even be talking there. Back in 2016, things are already bad. So every day on the news was about people getting retrenched, and so many organizations letting go so many people. And then, because I am naturally a very curious person, the question I was asking was, what is driving retrenchment at the rate in which it's driving retrenchment? Of course, people have
Sure.
always been retrenched, but how can a company let go, say, 5,000 employees in the space of like 2 years, and they are still
Right.
surviving? There were certain companies that were announcing letting go like 10,000 employees, and my brain could not understand how a company will survive letting go that many people, especially like in the mining sectors and things like that. So with me being the curious person that I was like, I'm going to find out what this is. Now, take note, I have no background in IT. I knew nothing about technology prior to being retrenched, but
Right.
I knew something was fishy in this game. Like, a company cannot let go of so many people and their efficiency increases, their profit increases. They seem to be doing pretty much well. In my mind, I thought people were the lifeblood of any organization. Of course they are, but
Right.
something was not right. So I went into this journey of like, I'm going to find out what this is. And so it was just my thing. I wasn't finding out to tell anyone. I just wanted to satisfy my curiosity. Like, I want to
Right.
understand what this thing is, right? So I started just reading on it. And for the first time, I think early 2017, because I got retrenched in the middle of 2016, I came across words like the fourth industrial revolution. Now, mind you, since I knew nothing about technology, I didn't even know what the first industrial revolution was. I didn't even know what the second was, third was. Now I'm being slapped with the fourth. What is this? Now I'm thinking, if there's a fourth, then there's a third and there is a second. I'm like, I'm going to find out what this thing is, right? And so I went into this research, and for the first time, terms like artificial intelligence, robotics, blockchain, they started jumping on me, and it sounded like Chinese. I had no idea
Right.
what these things were. And the more clueless I was, the more curious I wanted to know more. So I just kept
Hmm.
digging. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, this is interesting. So machines are actually replacing people at work. And that was when my journey of being really active on social media began. And so I started writing on social media. The pain in which I was going through, I wasn't just writing about technology, I was writing a whole lot. So writing became an escape for the pain I was going through, being retrenched and
Okay.
other things I was dealing with, right? So writing became an escape for me. And so I started writing on social media. I would just write just something, whatever I was feeling at the time or whatever I was finding, I would just write it on social media. And then I realized that the engagement and the way people were engaging on this, there was one thing it gave me comfort was that I was not the only clueless person about technology. One, I'm not comforted with that. A whole lot of people didn't know what was happening. Even people in the tech industry sort of were curious about what Nicky is talking about. I'm like, okay, good. I'm not the only clueless person about this. So the more I read about it, the more I realized that so many people we are unaware of how technology is changing the workplace, and so it evolved from just writing about generally about life and about the lessons I'm learning being retrenched from work, and how anybody can literally find their way out of that dark space and out of that, that pain. I'm writing about all of this, and then it evolved from just Facebook post, like a 2-line post, into I started a blog, which was on a free platform at the time. I didn't have a website like I do now, so I started blogging on Google, and like there's a platform on Google where you can start your blog for free. Yeah. So I started on that platform, and so it evolved from these Facebook posts to articles. So I started like writing really lengthy articles on that platform. And the more I wrote, the more people were so engaging. I started writing about from tech to entrepreneurship, to just starting life on your own, to rising out of the ashes, I just started writing a whole lot on that. And so now, the book happened by default. I did not sit down one morning, I'm like, I'm going to write a book. No, it didn't happen like that. All I needed to do in my mind was that I was just writing something, and I realized that people wanted it. I had no idea where this was going to go. Remember, I'm not making money out of this, but the joy that I was having out of it was amazing. I remember writing something just a couple of days ago. I'm like, even if it doesn't pay the bills, it pays the happiness, because that's something I have experienced.
I love that.
So I literally wrote the quote on my book, on my phone just 2 days ago, because I remember like people start something, and because it's not paying the bills, they abandon it. But for me, it wasn't paying the bills for sure. I was still as broke as hell. I didn't even know where I would get the next mail from. But my writing kept me alive. This writing gave me so much fulfillment and so much happiness that I could go to bed hungry but smiling, like, wow.
Beautiful.
People are engaging on this, and people are learning. I didn't know at the time it's called value. Now I know it's being called value. I'm adding value into people's lives, right? So I just evolved from there. Then there was a time when it came, I was like, I think somebody needs to write a book about technology. I'm thinking to myself, I didn't think that person would be me, all right? So when the thought slapped me that, but you're already in the space, why not write a book about it? I gave myself 1,000 reasons why I shouldn't write a book. I'm not educated. I don't have a degree. If there's anyone not to write a book, it should be me. I can't speak proper English. Like, my English is so broken, you have to put them back, pick the pieces and put them back together before someone can understand what I'm saying. So I gave myself 1,000 reasons why I do not qualify to write a book. And I was like, okay, I think I'm done. Find someone else, whoever this voice is, find someone else who's going to write this book, all right? But I couldn't find peace. So it just kept coming and coming. I was like, okay, I think now I'm looking left and I'm looking right, and I'm not seeing anyone who is going to do this. I think it's falling on me. And so the book kind of happened really by default. So I remember I had to go ask a friend, like, can I ask you something? He's like, yeah. You think I can write a book? First, he started laughing, like, where is the question coming from? Like, of course, Nicky, you can write a book. You can do anything you want to do. And so, it just evolved from those now normal articles. So I started now with the mindset, okay, this is going to be a book. So as much as I was still writing with my blog and all of that, there was a book. And I started the hashtag, disrupt yourself. No, the hashtag was not that. I can't even remember I think the initial title was the hustle economy. I think that was the initial title of the book.
Okay.
Then things just changed from one thing to another, and I ended up with the title "Disrupt Yourself" or "Be Disrupted," and I started a hashtag on social media. So that has basically much been my journey. The book came about as a default, right? So, but somehow, as a first-time author, I am actually very humble at the way the world has received me and my book. I was like, wow. Okay, someone could actually pay attention. And because I am a little bit stubborn on certain things, I remember when I approached my publisher, they had ideas on what they wanted to change, the cover, and a whole lot of things. And I stood my grounds and I'm like, no, this is what I want. This is how it's going to be. I'm paying for every service. If I start the story on how long it took for me, like, remember, I had no job. I was dead broke. and I knocked on every door possible to get a sponsor for the book, and it did not come on. So there was a time I was literally giving up on that. So that one on itself is a story for another day. So, but it took so much for me. The book sat on my computer for almost a year after I completed it. I think it was from 2018 to 2019. Because I was like, I don't know what else to do. And then I remember meeting someone by accident, and he went through the draft, and he was like, no way, Nikki, you have to find a way. This is gold. This the way the content is, and it's so relevant. You have to find a way to get this book out. And he advised me, and I started a crowdfunding campaign at the time. That was my last resort, which failed miserably. Like, the crowdfunding campaign was a complete failure. But this is what happened. I had at the back of my mind that if I had a reputable person to write the forward of my book, then some people will take it seriously. If you can look at the cover of my book, it's actually written, the forward is written by Bonang Mohale, all right? And I'm sitting in my house one morning, and I'm watching TV, and this guy pops on my TV. I have never seen him before, never known about Bonang Mohale before. And 5 minutes of listening to him, I went straight on Google, and I Googled this guy. I'm like, this sounds like someone who ran forward from my book. So I jump on Google him, lo and behold, his office is in Santon. 2 days later, I'm already calling the office. No, the same day I called the office, and they told me he's gone on Christmas holiday. I remember it was 2018 or so. I don't remember.
Right.
Yeah. He's gone on holiday. And so I spoke to his PA. When can I meet him? And I need to write a forward for the book. So the PA kind of put me front and back, but I'm not the person to take no for an answer, right? I have to represent the title of my book, Disruption. And I kept pushing. I kept pushing until 2 months later, I was able to have a meeting with Mr. Bonang Mohale. When I walked into his office, 15 minutes of him meeting me for the first time. He's never known about me, neither have I ever known about him. I confess I knew him. I told him I watched you on TV. But what you were saying was so relevant that I thought you would be the right person to write a forward for my book. And he asked me, I think this is the first time I'm telling the story live. I've never told this story. He asked me, when is the book coming out? He asked me, when is the book coming out? And I looked at him with this deadness in my eyes, like, I don't know. So what do you mean you don't know? I don't have the money to publish the book. He said, you're coming to me for a forward for a book, you don't have money to publish.
You don't know.
Yes, sir. I said, yes, sir. Like, I have knocked at corporate doors, and this is the response I used to get from corporates. Sorry, we don't do this. We don't sponsor books. You know, they sponsor events, like sporting events and all kind of stuff like that they do. No one cares what is in the book, right? They just tell me, no, we don't do books. I'm like, these people. Anyway, Mr. Bonang looks at me and is like, okay, who is your publisher? Because I'd given the book to a publisher, and they had actually given me a quote. So I gave him the name of the publisher, and he said, tell your publisher to send me an invoice. I'm looking at this guy like maybe he didn't hear what I was saying. Like, what's going on here? Tell your publisher to send me an invoice. I literally nearly dropped dead in his office. He looked at me. He's like, did you hear what I'm saying? Tell your publisher to send me the invoice. How much will it cost you?
Talk about a lucky winner, really.
I was so terrified to tell him the cost of the book that he literally pulled the amount out of my mouth. 85K. 85,000.
So he pulled the amount by himself, right?
Everything. He paid everything. And after that conversation of meeting, the meeting didn't take up to 20 minutes. I remember meeting him for 15 minutes. And I remember asking him, sir, you don't know me. He's like, these 15 minutes, I've got enough. I know you're the kind of person that needs an investment. And before I left his office, he stopped me on my way out. He said, Nikki, this is not a loan. This is an investment in your journey. You know, you don't owe me anything. You don't owe me anything. And that is literally how the book came out. Without Mr. Bonang, there would be no book. And one thing I learned from this is that sometimes you can go to ask for something and something else comes. I went to him to ask for a forward. When I was going to him, money was the last thing on my mind. But I left there with sponsorship for my book. You know, and that is literally how the book came out. I can't believe I've not told the story. Yeah. And I didn't even plan to tell it tonight. It just came out. So literally that is what happened. And that has been the journey. And so for anyone out there who has a dream and they don't know how it's going to come out, believe you me, if my book could be published and is sitting on shelves at exclusive books and other bookstores nationwide, I think anybody can do. Like I used to tell people, look, I'm not the smartest of people. If I can do this thing, anybody can do this.
You know, it's definitely amazing because first of all, a lot of people actually get stuck by the idea of having to find money first for them
Yeah.
to be able to accomplish something. And
Yeah.
um, in my 15 years of being an entrepreneur, honestly speaking, money has been the last in my mind. I've always
Yeah.
been driven by the desire to accomplish what's within me, because my journey as an entrepreneur is fulfilling if I'm able to achieve the things that are within me. So if I've got an idea, the first thing that I got to do is, what can I do to bring this idea to life? Because and what can I do to create value around that idea? As opposed to, hey, hold on a second, how much money do I need? Who can give me the money? If I go to the bank, are they going to give me a loan? No, I always start with what it is that I have in mind. What am I solving? And looking around, who is around me? I mean, I always believe that money is all around us. And for
Yeah.
you, you were bold enough to start researching on this guy, to go into his office, and just like he said, he saw value in what you are doing, and he invested in you. And that's what a lot of people actually are people are really stuck by, hey, you know what, I need to find money to get money. I'm starting this, but I'm getting stuck. I can achieve it. Yes, true, it takes money to
Of
accomplish all
course.
these things. But the question is, look, if honestly speaking, right, so if you were to come to me and I've got 10 grand in my pocket, right, and I know I'm just about to get into a liquor store and buy myself a case of bottles of champagne. So if somebody walks up to me right in front of my of the gate and asks me for money, if I don't see any value,
Yeah.
I will not
Yeah.
even be able to give this guy one single rand. But
Yeah.
I will go inside the store and buy a bottle of champagne that I know I will drink, and the following day I'm going to flush it down the toilet.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if this person can show me the real value and happens to change my perspective of things, chances are I will actually redirect that fund, that money, to this person. Because
Yeah.
we never know. By me putting money into this person, he may just succeed, and his success can actually just give me multiples of returns in the future. So I definitely encourage
Absolutely.
entrepreneurs out there to be able to do that. So the,
Yeah.
the next thing I want to talk about is, of course, look, you've got some amazing nuggets in your book, and we're going to start
Thank
going
you.
through all of them. Okay, well, not all of them. I mean, just quite a few of them.
Of course. Yeah.
And I love them because they fall part of my what I believe in, and I talk a lot about that as well. And the first one I want to talk about is schooling is not education. Let's talk about that for a second. Let's provoke the minds of people right there. Let's provoke those who are the PhDs and the M and the MBAs and the Masters of
Oh,
Science and all that kind of
oh
stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah,
schooling is not education.
yeah.
So tell me about that.
I usually like to always come back to myself, the person that I am, right? If you were listening from the very beginning, I mentioned that I don't even have a degree, all right? So I'm not an academician by any stretch of imagination, all right? But I was able to study on my own an industry like the tech industry without necessarily having to go to school. And I'm able to speak on that topic within South Africa and out of South Africa. I'm able to even speak to people that are expert in the industry because I decided to study on my own. I did a video not so long ago on my YouTube channel, and I spoke about education, schooling. Should I call it education or schooling? Education is no longer confined to a classroom. Education is now on Google, but it's for those who are searching, right? So,
Right.
because if I could learn what I have learned on my own using having access to Google, having access to YouTube, I think it's something that anybody can do. But then, because we have been so baptized with this mindset that for you to be qualified or for the world to receive you, hence I took so long to write my book because I disqualified myself. No, I can't do this. I'm not qualified according to the world standard. And so I just went and studied on my own. So for me, when I wrote that particular chapter in the book about schooling is not education, I kind of like think of how much the journey in which I have been on myself, not having any background in IT, not having any degree, just having basic education, and being able to do what I do, then I believe that schooling is not education, because I have educated myself. And I do not need anyone to put a stamp to certify me and say, okay, here's a certificate, Nikki, to prove. No, I don't need that. Now, people are obsessed with going to school because they have to have these certificates, right? But the world is changing. Things are changing. The kind of disruption that is happening right now, you see that even global conglomerates like Apple, your Google, your IBM, they are no longer looking at candidates based on their degrees. You have to bring something more valuable to the table other than a degree. It is about what are you bring, what value do you bring to the table, what problems can you solve in real time. If things are happening now, are you even aware of how much tech is changing the world? Or all you are bringing is your MBA, your somebody was bragging the other day, I have 5 degrees. I'm like, wow, good for you. I don't even have one. So this is the whole point, because the school system has not yet catch up with where the world is going, and that is a sad reality. All right.
Yeah.
Sometimes people think I'm too hard, I'm bashing on that, but not really. It's just that the hard truth needs to be spoken. The kids in school, they will come out and face the world that is completely different from what the school system is feeding them, because the two worlds, they don't meet. There's like, they're going on separate directions. So the real world is going another direction, and what the school is telling our children and what we parents are pushing our children to go do is completely different. And so my message in the book is that schooling is not education. For you, I think that real education actually starts when you let go of those certificates, whatever certificates you have. The moment you become curious, I think that curiosity is a skill in itself that we all must have, because I'm driven by curiosity. Anything I don't know, I throw myself in there. There are topics I've been given to speak at conferences, and I had no clue what this thing was. I was like, oh my God, this is too much for me. And I throw myself on the internet. And I study anything I can on that topic and on that industry. When I started speaking, I realized that, oh my God, there are people in the health sector that wants me to come and speak about technology. That is how broad it is. And I'm like, I know nothing about the health sector. I knew about emerging techs, but how do I apply this in the health sector? You understand what I mean? Education sector. Now, I was a speaker at the GovTech conference last year. There was no GovTech this year because of COVID-19. So at the GovTech conference, when I was invited to speak about, how emerging technologies can be applied in the school sectors, and how, and all of these things. Those are some of the things that I had no clue what they were. But now, because I'm naturally a curious person, I constantly realize that I have to keep learning. So we are on a lifelong journey. But here's the thing with people with degrees, you sit back and you are like, my degree is going to save me. Now, the fact that I don't have a degree, it helps me because I cannot sit back. I don't have nothing to fall back on. So I am constantly to be up with my game. I'm constantly challenged to be sure that whatever topic I'm being given, I can deliver on that. And so there are no barriers for me. Now, for people who study or have a degree in medicine, they are kind of like hooked on that corner, Call me tomorrow, I can give you a talk on blockchain, but that is not my background. If it is that blockchain was being given in school as a subject, you will see that a lot of people will just be stuck with that mindset of blockchain. Let's talk about AI. If you call me tomorrow, okay, come and give a talk around how AI is affecting maybe this particular industry, I can be able to do that because I am not being tied down by a particular law. No, you know what? I know I studied about accounting. I can do this because that is what is keeping a lot of people, in one place. They are so stuck with their accounting certificate that they cannot think digital marketing. They are like, no, I am an accountant, even though they are aware that there's no future in accounting, even though there are softwares that can do an accounting better than any human can. But these people, they are so stuck. That is not education. I think it's some sort of prison. Some of the certificates are just prison to people. Because
Man, I love it.
Your mind cannot think outside of it of an accounting degree. Your mind cannot think outside of whatever degree you've studied in school. Then you have put yourself in prison. For me, I am open. I can learn about digital marketing. I can talk about social media. I can talk about blockchain. I can talk about robotics. I can talk about nanotechnology. I can talk about all of these things because nothing holds me back. I don't have a particular degrees that restrict me on this corner. Like, no, Nikki, your degree is on this department. Don't move. I don't have that. And for me, it's freedom.
But also,
For me,
you know what,
freedom.
Edison, at the same time, I think that a lot of people who have all these degrees, right? I think just like you say, they get stuck in
Yeah,
that prison, right?
yeah,
And because that's the only thing they know how to do, that's the only thing they've done, that's the only thing they like, they get so closed up. They close their mind to the idea of being able to learn so many other things. Um, every time that I actually held quite a few events, for example, in the DRC and even here as well, I would often mention a specific quote in the end. And I will often tell this to the people, right? Just because you have a school or university degree does not mean you have an education.
mm, mm,
Success lies in continuous personal development. Now,
absolutely.
the moment you stop developing yourself, that's the beginning of your death. Remember, you and I were talking this one day, and I was driving. Okay, and I'm going to tell you something
Yeah,
just
yeah.
now, right? So
I
I was
remember that
driving.
conversation.
Yeah, I remember the conversation we had. So I was driving, and we talked about your book.
Yeah,
And as we were talking about the book, something, in fact, Tabang, I think Tabang, one of my partners, actually, in fact, the manager of this show, he's actually listening to me now. But I want you to listen to these stories because the word comfort came, I mean, the way I actually came up with the acronym was based on a conversation you and I had, I think must have been early 2019.
yeah,
So
yeah,
as I'm driving, and we're talking, and I know I'm in Kyalami, and I actually said, you know what? Actually, you're right. Comfort, and I know you've spoken about it on your book.
mhm.
Being in a comfort zone kills. So
Yeah,
for
it
me,
does.
I decided, you know what? Okay, what can I come up as an acronym to define the word comfort? Now, comfort, being in a comfort zone will definitely kill you, right? So this is what I said, guys, and please listen to this. And Nick is going to carry on. Comfort, every single letter in the word comfort, I've given it a meaning. So the C, I'm going to say the whole thing first. Comfort is causing one to maliciously forfeit their obligations as a rightful thinker. Now, let me
Mhm.
explain that and break that down for each and every single one of these letters, right? So the C is for causing. So you causing the O, causing one, you as the individual, okay? The M to maliciously, because to me, I always feel like, you know what, when we are in a comfort zone, we're causing a disservice to ourselves. All right. So that's like a malicious intent for us not to even grow or to get into another level. Right. So to maliciously, and then the F is to forfeit, because remember, God has given us the talents. And until we are choosing not to be in that comfort zone, it will be difficult for us to tap into that potential. So oftentimes we find ourselves in the age, and that's the moment we actually unlock all these other talents that we have. We realize, oh, hang on a second. Do I really have the potential to learn about that skill and that? I've learned so many things in my life that today I'm very comfortable to being able to talk to thousands of people in the world, right? So, and then after the F for forfeiting, then O becomes your obligations, right? Because remember, I do believe that we all have an obligation to accomplish something here on earth. We shouldn't be selfish. We should, if I know something, I gotta be able to share with the rest of the world. If I can teach you about blockchain, that's what I got to do. If I can help Veronica to raise funding for her vertical farming, that's what I got to do. And in fact, she's been really religious in following me on this particular show, because not only does she learn from people like yourself, but you know what? We often tap into these particular topics, right? Now, and when it is about the obligations as a rightful thinker, for the R is rightful and the T thinker, because now we need to be able to think, we need to be able to create
Absolutely.
all the things, and so that we can actually push out there and get out of that bloody comfort zone, which kills your soul, kills
Yeah,
everything. Come on, man. I
yeah,
love this conversation. So let's move on to the next thing. I want to talk about the impact of the fourth industrial revolution during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I know you've covered quite a few things:
yeah,
nanotechnology, blockchain, robotics, and AI, machine learning. But I mean, as we englobe this thing, remember last year, the whole year, people were talking about the 4IR. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
corporate organizations putting together programs for the 4IR. So I
yeah.
want to know, was that just a myth, or do we live in an era where that conversation made sense? And if so, how are we responding to that? How is that impacting?
one of the interesting things about 4IR and COVID-19, especially in Africa, right? Okay, before I even get into that, I remember last year in Kenya, in Nairobi, Kenya, I had I had a conference, right? And
Right.
after my presentation, there was a guy in the room who said, "No, Nikki, you should not be talking about 4IR. That is not for Africa, you know. Africa is still very much in the third industrial revolution. You shouldn't be talking about the third industrial revolution." And I'm looking at this guy and I really didn't know how to respond to him, right? But then a quick thought came to my mind and I asked him, "What phone are you using?" This guy had the latest iPhone, all right? Like, and I told him, "You are even more fire advanced than me. I don't even have an iPhone. I'm using a Samsung, okay?" Secondly, I asked him, when last did you go to the bank? He's like, he never goes to the bank. He does his banking on his phone. I'm like, great. That is 4IR. All right. So you cannot sit there practicing 4IR and you telling me Africa is not ready for 4IR. You are way deep into it. Are you willing? I'm like, okay, let's forget about 4IR. As if we have a choice, right? We don't even have a choice, okay? But let's pretend for a while that we can let this ship pass. Let's pretend for a while. And let me ask you, are you willing to let go of your smartphone and carry your landline, if you can, around? Look at me like, what are you talking about? Secondly, are you willing to go to the bank every time you need a transaction done? Do a queue, talk to your teller, and all of that every single damn time? Are you ready? Are you ready for that? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, so we don't have a choice, right? So this is not something like we can decide, hello, 4R, can you go this way? Africa is not ready. When we are ready, we're gonna call you. This is like a flood that is coming, right? It doesn't ask your permission. It is either you adapt or it sweeps you over because no one has a choice. And now, when I look back at that, and another interesting story I heard that happened in Zimbabwe was that there were two professors at a certain university in Zimbabwe that were being disciplined because one morning they got up, I don't know, whatever was happening with their families, they sent in emails to their supervisors that they were working from home. And these people ended up in whatever they call it, the court of that university, for a disciplinary hearing. Right. Like, how dare you sit at home that you're working from home? Now, just a couple of months later, I had a conference in Nairobi in December. So we are not even 8 months in. And COVID-19 has fast forwarded the entire continent, the entire world, into 4IR at a speed never seen before. Now, imagine that same university that disciplined these professors for working from home. They are working, everyone, including those people that sat at that disciplinary meeting, are now working from home just months later. That is how fast COVID-19 is pushing the continent into 4IR. Whether we were prepared or not, it is something we have to embrace. And one of the things that is standing out for me on the impact is that it is pushing governments to act faster. Because certain things that the government has acted faster within weeks and within months, these are things that will normally take years. They have to go to parliament, they have to vote, and they have to decide, and then they have to adjourn the meeting, and then they will have to come back next year and decide on this thing. But because of COVID-19, these meetings are happening overnight, and decisions are being taken overnight. And somehow the government has not crashed. So this is the kind of impact. Now, that's the positive impact of it. For me, I see it as a good thing because I think the government is learning to realize that they can make decisions faster. Because one of the things is that the government and tech are never on the same line, right? Tech is exponential, the government is linear, so they take time to do things while technology is going and changing things, and the government is sitting in these meetings and having these votes on should we or should we not, and all of this. But COVID-19 is pushing people to do things much faster. So the exponential way of doing things is being embraced much faster than it would have, including organizations. The most traditional organizations in Africa that would never have put certain processes online, they embrace it in a matter of weeks. Like, hey, we are changing our digital platforms. These are things that excite me about the continent, Just today, I sat down with myself and I was like, wow, this is amazing. The elite of Africa, before, when a disease like this is threatening, they pack to Europe. And now you can't go to Europe. Europe is even more dangerous than Africa.
Nobody can travel now.
You can't even travel. I'm like, the elite of the elite class in Africa, this is a time for them to think how to improve our healthcare system instead of running away each time there is something, so that you can have better healthcare outside. This is the time to innovate. This is the kind of impact that the COVID-19 is having on the continent. I hope people are thinking the way I'm thinking. I'm half African earrings. I told you I'm an African enthusiast, right?
Beautiful. I know you are just amazing. So listen, there are some questions that we are going to take, and Olaseni from Nigeria is, she's amazing. She's a student. She's following quite a few things, and she's learning to becoming an entrepreneur and running a business. But she's also following quite a few learning online and so forth. So she's got quite a few interesting questions that we are going to address in just a moment. So Olaseni, don't worry, I'm going to pick up that question for us to be able to address it just now. Nikki has got quite a few great nuggets that I still want to be able to share. And one is another, and this is, by the way, out of her book. A reminder: you guys stand a chance to win 2 books signed directly by Nikki. And it's an amazing story that she's telling right now. She's an amazing storyteller, and I can see why you have been able to speak eloquently in multiple countries so far. So she's an international keynote speaker, and very sought after to talk about the 4th industrial revolution. Not only that, she's spoken to companies like Standard Bank and quite a few other corporate organizations in South Africa. And I've seen Nikki really making the waves. So please, for you to be able to win these 2 books, what are these 2 books? You got to share this link. You got to invite your friends. You got to make some comments, and most likely as well engage Nikki by asking a question right now. Right. So the one thing that we're going to talk about right now is this one nugget right here: money cannot cure.
Oh
Yeah. Boom. That's a nugget right there. Come on, shoot
I
everybody.
love this one. I love this one. Today, I was actually going to shoot one of my YouTube videos today. If we didn't have this conversation, I was actually going to be working on my video today. And the topic was around this, not exactly like this, but it was around this, all right? Because I believe that the fastest way to kill creativity and human potential in any economy or in any community is to feed people freebies. Okay, all right? Just give them money. Throwing money at poverty doesn't cure poverty. Okay,
I agree.
and that is that's one of the things that people fail to understand. Now, had it been I did not have a purpose or a vision, so to say, or something that drives me. Now, the money Mr. Bonang, assuming he gave that money directly to me, I think I would have just gone shopping. Okay. Now, I read a story a few days ago. There was a mistake. That happened. The government paid the money that was supposed to be paid to a particular company to help people that have lost their jobs due to COVID-19 was paid into one guy's account. All right.
Right.
This guy is a factory worker. I don't know if the story has been circulating online, but this is something that happened recently, just like last month. 6.9 million into one person's account by mistake.
6.1 million.
6.9 million, something around that.
Okay.
So this guy moved from 12 rand to when the money came into his account, what was his balance was 12 rand. So he moved from 12 rand to 6.9 million overnight.
Right.
The first thing he went to do, buy a car, all right, which ended up exposing where the money was because they posted it on social media.
I like your thought already.
They were able to trace and all of that. He went for a car, number one. They went for a tombstone, one of the most expensive tombstones to bury their dead. You know how Africans are with tombstones and all of that. So that is how the money was spent. And he gave 3 million to his girlfriend. He transferred 3 million to his girlfriend. Transferred, I think, another 2 million or so, 1 million to his brother. So he shared the money within the family. All right. By the time the Hawks finally discovered where the money was, they were only left with. They were left with, I think they said, less than 100,000 in his account when they discovered the money. So they are still trying to find out where is this money? What happened to this money? These people went shopping spree. Now, you would think that money cures poverty, but it doesn't now. Someone with a purpose who is driven by a purpose, when that kind of money lands into their account, the first thing that's coming to their mind is not a car, believe you me. It's not to go and buy a car. So they're thinking food, they're thinking tombstone, they're thinking cars. That is the mindset of poverty. Okay, because for people that their mindset has not evolved and they are not thinking purpose, they're thinking money. When money comes to them, for me, it actually aggravates their poverty. True. Because in less than a month, this guy moved from 6.9 million back to less than 100,000 in just few months. Not even up to a month. I think this thing happened in like 3 weeks. So he went back to his poverty. Whether he was discovered or not, he was going to go back to his poverty eventually, even though he was a millionaire in overnight. He had no idea what to do.
For a few
this
days.
Is like a recent story. If you can check it online after we finish, you'll find what I'm talking about. So this is like the most recent story that shocked me. I was like, what did he do with the money? Okay, we know about the car, we know about the tombstone. Where did the rest of the money go to? Nobody knows. But that is the mindset of poverty. And you would think that the government keeps throwing money at people, calling it grants and taking people out of poverty. No, that is the way to pass poverty from one generation to another. Do you want to really save people? Teach them how to catch the fish. Teach them to be innovative. Build innovation hubs. The pandemic is happening, and I see that the government is more concerned with feeding people. I mean, can we have a better plan other than just feeding ourselves? Can we have a better plan other than just not going to bed hungry? Can the government start thinking of building innovation hubs in these townships and giving internet access to these people so that they can learn to hunt their own bread online? This is how I think, all right, because no matter how much the government feed these people, post the pandemic, they're still going to be the same. But if the government gives them something, which is access to the internet, this kind of infrastructure, they will be able to find their own bread online. They will be able to hunt their own bread online. I am not South African. I've never had access to government grants. I have 2 kids. I'm a single mom, but I survived. Now, it's South African because they've grown with that mindset. Okay, the government is going to give me 300 or 400 every month for my kids. They cannot imagine how they can survive without that. The fact that I don't have access to these grants and to this money is an advantage for me. But someone who does not have a creative mindset sees it as a disadvantage. They call it, I am from a disadvantaged family or from a disadvantaged background. I call it, that for me, what you call disadvantage for you is my biggest advantage, because that is what drives me. The fact that I look at my kids in the morning and I know no government grant is coming, if they're going to eat breakfast in the morning, it's on to you, Nikki, to make something happen. That is what drives me. But for someone waiting on the government, they're not going to think outside the box. They're not going to think creative. They're not going to think innovation. They're not going to think, what can I do? So, and that is the way I say money doesn't cure poverty.
I totally agree with you on that one. And we're going to take this one question. And by the way, guys, if you have questions, please put them on the comments below. We'll pick it up and then show it on the screen so that Nikki can respond, and she and I can actually share quite a few nuggets. So right now, I'm going to pick up Olaseni's question, right? So coming back to the idea of schooling is not education. I think it is important for us to differentiate between the two, okay? And her question is, what if I want to become a surgeon, then progress to starting my health company? Don't you think school might be useful in such case? Absolutely. School is necessary for us to be able to achieve this. At least I'm giving my opinion, right? So if you want to become a surgeon, a lawyer, an advocate, a CA, a qualified chartered accountant, or a medical doctor, right? Those are the things that you need proper training from those who have actually either done it before you and have established quite a few a journey and on that particular path, to school you to help you become an expert in that particular field. But according to me, whether you are a surgeon, a lawyer, or anything else doesn't necessarily mean that you are, it doesn't necessarily equate to the entire education we're talking about. Remember, the education system starts from home, okay? It starts from home. And as you move from home, then you get to school for you to learn quite a few skills within a certain profession, okay? But still, you continuously go on and being educated on the street, at work, on the internet or whatever you want to do. So you never ever stop learning. So that learning process is very important. But please enlighten Olaseni as well on that particular question, if you don't mind.
So what I would say is that schooling, in the case of a surgeon or in any other case, schooling will teach you, what to think. Especially in the case of like a medical field, there are certain processes you cannot skip, So it teaches you what to think, how to do this, what to follow, process A, process B, how it moves from A, B, C to Z, and all of that. So it teaches you these processes on how you can maybe operate a person. You need to first bring a knife, or you need to put it this way, you need to hold it this way, you need to do all of that. That is how it teaches you how to think, all right? But now, when you are done with those processes, which is necessary, what separates you from gathering all of these processes? It is the education you get, like you mentioned, on the streets. All right. Now, what will separate you as a surgeon from another type of surgeon who followed these strict processes that school taught them, and they don't think anything outside? But you, who comes out of that strict processes, and you become innovative and you start learning, even while you are in surgery, you're understanding different things. And remember, every industry is evolving with technology. So if you went and studied surgery 5 years ago, and you are stuck with that certificate, you know what? I studied surgery, and this is how it's supposed to be done. And you are not upgrading yourself, you're not upskilling yourself with new technology that can be used in surgery, and with new developments that are happening in surgery. If you're not thinking outside of that, you are not educated. You are just certified as a surgeon with all. You understand? You are just certified. So there's a difference. People should understand there is a difference. And there's nothing wrong with being certified, all right? But innovation does not happen with certification. So are you an innovative surgeon, or you are just a certified surgeon? So that is what separates the two.
I totally agree. Okay, so we are going to take something else because I don't want to keep the folks. There's so many things, guys. But you know what? I'm just picking a few things as part of her book. She's got amazing topics. And to realize that you've gone on a journey to write this book in about a year and come up with quite a few disruptive content like this is quite amazing. I want to pick up one here. Innovative business ideas to create your own economy. I love this. I love this because it falls in line with some of the things I talk about often as part of the blockchain space. All right, being able to create the token economy. That's one thing. That's an aspect, conversation for another day. But most importantly, the notion of the you economy. You economy.
Yeah.
How can you start identifying yourself as being a potential asset to, for an economy? Start visualizing, start realizing what are the talent, the skills you have, and figure out exactly how you can create value around what you are, and eventually go on and monetize that. So somebody can start a podcast, somebody can write a book, somebody can be online, somebody can do whatever that is and start monetizing and realize, you know what, wow, I've got so much value that I can offer them to folks who need my services. And guess what? Those certified individuals will be the guys calling the innovators for them to be able to get a service to be rendered, right? Because they don't have the time to learn about digital marketing.
Absolutely. So the idea of having your own economy is something that I'm very much passionate about. And for those who are curious, get the book. It's actually available at Exclusive Books and Bargain Books all across South Africa. So for those who want to know more in details what these ideas are, get the book and you'll find them there, But the general knowledge of it is that the government's economy is not necessarily your own. There are a lot of people that are depending on the government's economy, and such people don't move forward in life. I don't depend on the government's economy when they talk about reopening the economy. I'm more concerned on my own economy. Remember, I was having a conversation with you before we came online, how I am transitioning because of the COVID-19. I'm having my own plans. I'm not folding my hands and thinking, I'm like, okay, the government is working on a plan. I heard like there's 100 billion coming into the economy. I think I will have a share of that. No, that's not my mindset. Because you hear this big money that the government is doing this and that, and people sort of just sit back hoping that oh, I think a share of that is going to come. And they already start calculating how much the share of that they're going to come back.
Right.
And at the end of the day, they are disappointed. And then
And
they find
tenders go
themselves in depression.
up and down.
Yes, they find themselves being depressed because they were depending on someone else's economy. Start
Right.
creating your own economy. I actually did a video on YouTube, and the title
Okay.
was, what are you creating that you cannot get fired from? Because now we're living in times where job security is just an illusion, right? So even for those who still holding on to jobs now, there is no guarantee that by this time next month you're still going to be holding on to that job. There is no guarantee whatsoever. So the
Right.
question of what are you creating that you cannot get fired from is something you should be asking yourself. I got fired. I didn't plan for that to happen. So I know how it feels like. So people should start thinking outside of the box. How can I create my own economy? It doesn't mean that it will be, foolproof and nothing bad can happen. A whole lot of bad things have happened since I started this journey on my own. But it is a learning process for me. And it's how I grow. It's how I learn. Mistakes happen. Failure happens. It's a school on its own, and it's a better school for me than sitting in a classroom. So I would choose this
Absolutely.
over any education, over sitting at any university. I would choose this life over and over. When it happened to me, I didn't even know I could write. I discovered the writer in me completely by accident. I discovered the
Right.
speaker in me completely by accident. Why? Because I was willing to explore. So a lot of us are sitting on so much and we don't realize we are depending on the government. The finance minister is giving this speech and you are sitting there listening. Oh my God, my life is about to change. No, next year you're still sitting and listening to that same speech. None of that money is coming to you. Start creating your own money. Start being comfortable in creating your own economy. It could just, there's something I titled the hobby economy. Some of the hobbies that people do and they don't take them seriously. You can cash in on that. You can monetize that, and you can start creating something that can be like something for you to fall back on instead of you waiting to fall back
Right.
on your degree, which is no longer relevant. Fall back on a
True.
skill, learn something that
Exactly.
is real.
These degrees, if we don't continue evolving, yes, they give us, just like Laverne just mentioned just now, it gives us a whole bunch of, the foundation, right?
Yeah.
But it is incumbent upon us to continuously educate ourselves, and we may not go back to school for that. We can use the internet, we can use Google to do the
Mhm.
research, for us to continuously improve on what it is, right? So I want to bring two, three more things. This conversation is really, really exciting, but
Oh,
I
I
can't
thought
keep
we were
focused.
done.
No, there's how do I pronounce the name? Michael Mash, or Michael Mash. He's asking an important question that I would like us to expand just a little bit, not too long. How far is it true that we should never borrow money that accrues interest to start a business? Why is it wrong never to borrow money to start a business, expecting that the business will generate income to pay back the borrowed money plus the interest? Okay. I think I understand his question. There's quite a few things that just are a little bit misleading there. But here's the thing, right? Um, if you There's nothing wrong with borrowing money, but as long as you borrow the money for you to create an activity that will generate more money, so you can actually not only pay back the money, but you would have also made more money, right? So when you borrow, you're actually creating debt, and there's this notion of good debt and bad debt. Now, let's differentiate the two a little bit. If you go to the bank and you are, let's say your bank tells you, hey, you know what, you qualify for 150,000 rand during this pandemic, okay? And what do? You get the 150K, and the first thing you do, instead of creating that business that can help you generate more money, you go out there and start buying couches, or you buy food, or you're doing, things like that. You start spending that money that you borrowed on
Usually they
non-essential.
go for the car. The car is usually first on the
Oh,
list.
you
I
go
don't
for the
know what's
car.
wrong with the black man in the
That's
car.
gonna mess
Car.
you up, bro. That's gonna mess you up big time, Mikael. So I don't think there's anything wrong with borrowing money, but I think you need to be able to understand when exactly do you have or do you need to borrow money, and what do you do with it. And look, I made mistakes long ago when I didn't understand anything about money. And by the way, In 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks from now, we are going to have a very special conversation about money. It will be Let's Talk Money. I'm going to bring in quite a few guys whose role is just to talk about money, so we can actually be educated on decisions we need to make about money. Money has been an essential, interesting topic for me personally, because I realized that growing up, our parents never taught us anything about money. And decisions we made around money were so wrong that, you know what, as you make them early on in your, as you're growing up, it catches up with you at a certain age, right? So why? Because you don't understand anything about money. You don't understand anything about business. You like the idea of business, but you don't know what to do or how to set up a business or how to even scale a business. And most importantly, one of my favorites, we don't even invest, right? So I made it my personal journey to really understand. And guess what? I started self-educating. I started reading a lot of books on what money meant. I had a lot of mentors who actually taught me so much more about money. And I continuously, self-develop to educate my mind. Just last week, no, early this week, I read on an article on Bloomberg, a 28-year-old young white male who today is featuring, and in fact, he's blowing the minds of some of the columnists on Bloomberg, and he writes article around economy, investment, and finance. This guy has no degree, and let alone a degree in economics or finance. He doesn't have an MBA. He doesn't have a BA. He doesn't have nothing, right? But what he did was personal development. He
Yeah.
did find out online. And today he is challenging what qualified, certified chartered accountant know around money. And
Yeah.
for me, the blockchain space as well, especially with the digital asset and Bitcoin. In fact, I always mention this to people. Bitcoin is challenging what people think they know about money and economics. And that's a conversation for another day, guys. But you know what, Michael? I hope we kind of address that. And we are going to bring in one last topic, which is wealth creation parables.
This particular one, for people who want to know, I think they'll have to read the book, because these are like three different parables that actually talks about, creating wealth and all of that. So we cannot, trust me, we cannot get into this. And these are like huge parables. One of them was borrowed from
Let's
this
take one,
guy.
let's take 1 minute, 1 minute to simplify it, because we're gonna close pretty soon. 1 minute to simplify it.
On the topic of the parables. They are like real
Yeah.
parables. So like if we have to do one, then we will have to read an entire parable. You know what I mean? So they are like actual parables. So like three of them, and they're all around money. All right. So for those who, like I'm saying, for those who really want to understand the parables, get the book.
Get a book, guys.
Get the
Get a
book.
book.
And
Get a book.
and for those who know this the guy who wrote the book, the Fast Lane Millionaire, Fast Lane. Fast Lane
Yes, yes,
Millionaire.
yes, yes, yeah. Yeah, I've got the book. I've got the book.
You've got the book. The parable is one of the parables is in the book. So I
Right.
actually wrote the guy directly. I wrote to him directly, and I asked if I could use part of his parable in my book. So I had a conversation with him, and he was like, "No, it's fine. You can use as long as you're quoting me in the book and all of that." Is MJ DeMarco, right? That's
Yeah,
that's that's
exactly.
the author.
That's correct.
Yes. So one of the parables is that parables of building a system, where he talks about this um, Egyptian pharaoh summons a young nephew. Chuma. If you read the book, you should know the story. So that's one of the parables that I have actually featured on the book. The other one is about the bucket carrier. People. We cannot do this. There's no even way to simplify it. All
Interesting.
right.
So, look,
The, the
I
other
know
one
there's
is
so
about
many
the
things.
bucket carrier. Those who
Yeah,
prefer, which is like the bucket carrier is being linked to a job where you have
right,
to carry a bucket of water every single day, which is like the monthly salary to survive. And then it links it to actually building a pipe from a certain place to your village that brings in water. You don't need to go carrying. So it's what the parables are talking about, so that we can have the
right.
mindset of creating wealth instead of just surviving and having a bucket. We go to the stream, we
Beautiful.
carry water every day to come and survive. Build something that brings water to your entire village. No one needs to go to that river and carry water anymore. So Yeah,
Beautiful,
you really
beautiful.
need to get the book
Okay.
and read it.
Beautiful. Okay, so what we're gonna do now, because my team is also reviewing who do we think we are going to be sending to books to. But before we do, I think one of the thing that I want you to tell me and to tell the audience, I want you to touch a little bit on the impact on jobs and 4IR, and then we are going to talk about the closing remarks and so forth, and maybe nominate as well. I've received three names already. I'm going to mention them, and but we are going to choose.
Great. That's
I
awesome.
received three names already
Woo.
of who might be the lucky winner of the two books. But yeah, please talk to the people exactly about your thoughts on the jobs. Are people losing? This whole COVID situation has really
Oh
killed a
wow.
lot of jobs right now.
Nah,
But
I don't even know if you should be phrasing it the impact of COVID-19 on jobs or the impact of 4R on jobs, because these are now two things that are working together, COVID-19 and 4R. Because before we were just talking about 4R, but now COVID-19 is actually a pandemic, and 4R on itself it's still a much a reality because tech is coming over. And this is now
sure,
what is happening. What is constantly happening now is that because robots and machines don't need to do social distancing,
right,
companies are being forced to even embrace it much more than they would have if there was no pandemic. If you have more machines at work, you don't have to be worrying, oh my God, they're going to catch COVID-19 or COVID-19 is going to catch them. You don't have that worry. And so more companies are going to, have employ less people and automate a lot of processes. AI is going to be fast at work.
right,
Robotics is a reality. It's going to be happening more at work, because with that happening, people will be safe, of course, safe and broke,
right,
jobless, but they're safe. All right. But then
true.
robotics will be a reality. Robots will be in the workplace as a result of what COVID-19 is doing. Robots don't get sick. Robots don't go on leave. Robots don't have to worry about their immune system being strong or weak, and all of this. And
Mm,
robots can work for 7. Robots don't even have to, from a business perspective, anyone with a business will rather go with AI than looking at, putting in more humans. And I actually did a video about the impact, not really like the impact. I did a video on YouTube when I was talking about the future of work. More jobs will be lost, whatever the government does, whatever strategy the government put in place, it cannot stop it from happening. And there were a couple of reasons I gave, which I will
mhm.
share. One, for people who are more curious, you can go on my YouTube channel and watch the entire thing. One of the reasons I gave, which a jobless future is something we cannot avoid. One of the reasons is that organizations are becoming more exponential, right? And the reason exponential organization, okay, for those who don't understand, exponential organization simply means organizations that are relying more on systems like AI and all of that, much more than humans. All right.
Right,
So it definitely means that exponential organizations are employing less people and
true.
putting automating a whole lot of processes. Now, for example, an organization in the past that had needed, say, 10,000 employees, all right, maybe 5 or 10 years ago. Right now, that organization can do way better with less than 50%
With
of those
less
employees
employees,
that
yeah,
work for.
yeah.
So that's what is called exponential organization, because they are doing more with less people. And so for that reason alone, even the most traditional organizations are trying to become more exponential. They're trying to
Mm,
shed more people. No, there are too many people here. We want them to go. And then automated processes. We want to bring in AI. Look at an entire industry like the call center, an entire industry. The call center, they are being replaced by bots. You try
true.
to talk to customer service, you don't talk to people anymore. I had a problem with my laptop. I had to log on Microsoft Office. I had a problem with my office. I had to log on the Microsoft website to get it
Right.
sorted. I couldn't find a human being to
Yeah.
talk to. I was speaking to a bot the whole time. And it frustrated me. I was talking to a friend, he's like, if you are frustrated, how do you expect other people to feel? We're talking about fire. That is the reality of it. There was no human. I kept answering questions that were being asked. Like it feels like you're talking to a person, right? But for us who know, it's not a person. You're talking to a system that has been built in. You answer this question, I'm like, can I just talk to a human being? Like, I'm
Right.
a human being. And I couldn't. So that is the impact of 4 hour on jobs. Organizations are becoming more exponential. Organizations are becoming more lean. Organizations do not want that many people at work anymore. And COVID-19 is fast forwarding organizations to become even more exponential. So the idea of people, the mindset, okay, let's go to school, let's get good grades, and let's get a job. It is fast becoming outdated. It's no longer going to be the thing. So hence, I come back to the idea of building your own economy, right? So being comfortable in building your own economy, being comfortable in building your own thing, which is what, especially here in Africa, we should be comfortable in that, with that idea, because for so long in Africa, trying out entrepreneurship has always been the last resort, for many people. Okay, I've tried getting a job and I can't get it. All right, I think I'm just going to try a business. It's no longer going to be like that. People are not going to go to business, starting a business with sad faces. I couldn't get a job. And then when you start a business like that, for many people that start a business like that, at the back of their mind, they never give in their all, because they're like, maybe that one I applied for, they're going to call me, maybe the one I applied for last year, they're going to, you don't give it your all. So we need to become comfortable with the idea of creating our own things, because a jobless future is a reality. It's painful to say this, but we need to start embracing that truth, so that as parents, we raise our kids with a different mindset. We don't raise our kids the way our parents raised us, to go to school, get a certificate, and get a job. It's not going to happen. Because even you starting a business now, you're going to look at how much you can do with less resources. You need to achieve more with less resources, and less resources means less people. What can you automate, and what necessarily can you bring a human in? That is how it's going to work. Even with startups, they're looking at how they can do with less people. So automation is the future. 4IR is the future. And COVID-19 is giving organizations a good reason, not because now organizations have a very good reason to employ robots. But we are trying to save our employees. We don't want them to get sick. So that's why we're putting in robots. It's a reality.
So, one last question for you from the audience, and Veronica is asking, what's next for Nicky? What have you got?
Oh my God, I wish I knew. With COVID-19 happening, I really don't even know. I am in a transition myself, because I'm stuck at home. There are no conferences happening, which is what I love doing. I love being on stage. It's not happening now, including with Mr. Lombela. So with the hospitality industry and the conferencing not happening, I really can't say for sure that I know what is next for me. And it's still a good place for me to be in. I really don't know, and not knowing, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because it helps me, it keeps me on my toes, and I am in a transition. I was just telling John before the show began that I'm transitioning, and I'm converting my website into an e-commerce platform where I can be able to sell some of my accessories, like my t-shirts and my books and other things. And by the way, I'm writing my second book. Maybe that's what is next for me.
If you're writing another book. Yeah, beautiful. Okay.
Yes, I am writing my second book, and the title is The Rise of the Obsolete Class, because this is the reality, what we're talking about. So I'm working on that. So that is pretty much what is in it for me, but I don't know the details yet. I'm going with the flow as the COVID-19 is happening, but nonetheless, I am on my feet, and I am making sure that the Nicky Verd brand does not die. I am transitioning. I'm trying out new things. I'm disrupting my own self, doing things I shouldn't have done before. I'm learning new skills. I had to learn how to do editing. We're talking about editing videos, right? I had to learn that. COVID-19 pushed me into learning how to shoot videos, how to edit, learning softwares that I never would have thought of learning them before, but now I'm being forced to do that. So that is the beauty of being in quarantine and in lockdown. I have time to try out new skills that I wouldn't have thought of before. I would have probably been traveling. All my international trips were canceled, and no one knows when it's going to happen next. I don't even know when next I'll be in stage, maybe in the next year or in the next 2 years, I don't know. But however, the digital space is there for me to plug myself, like what we're doing now. The message is still relevant. I cannot sit under my blanket and be crying. I need to still take the same message online. Hence the reason I'm doing more videos. Hence the reason I'm converting my website into a digital platform where I can sell products on my website, because e-commerce is the future, especially in Africa,
Absolutely.
For many people that have never bought anything online, they bought it for the first time during this quarantine. And so that is where business is happening. It's happening there. So I'm transitioning, guys. What's next for Nicky? Nicky's in the transition. So yeah.
Beautiful, Nicky. So look, this was the amazing Nicky. And by the way, I'm going to finish on a quote that I read on Denzel Washington's tweet today. So this is what he says, right? He says, you know what? For all of you guys who never had a chance to write a book, to learn a new skill, to come up with great ideas for a business during the first time of lockdown, you know what? The quarantine is not over yet. And guess what? Get back in the lab. So
Absolutely.
my team and I have been promoting and talking about the need to disrupt ourselves, the need to constantly learn. And during this quarantine moment, the pandemic is giving us these opportunities to really learn and become better individuals. So this is what Veronica is mentioning to you. All the best and such an interesting conversation. And by the way, I
Thank
have three
you.
names at the end of the show, three names. My team has nominated, not me, my team has nominated. And for those of you who are following, but it's going to be a very difficult one, right? Because now I have to offer to these three people out of the average of 20 something that have been watching this show. So there's Jeff Migole. And by the way, Jeff is from Cameroon as well, Nikki.
Oh, great. Hi, homeboy.
Okay. And then there is Veronica. Yes, Veronica is one of them. All right. So well done, Veronica Shangali Aswani. Veronica is from Tanzania. So you
Oh,
are
great.
one of the lucky winner. And finally, there is Ariette Hannah. So Ariette has been the most sharer, I believe, on this particular show. That's what I've been
Oh,
told.
wow.
And for
Wow.
three people, looks like I have to get all of you three people a book. All right. So you can expect the book from me, and it will be signed directly by Nikki. No, we are going to. Yeah. By the way, Anna is from Kenya. I forgot to mention that. Thanks for reminding me,
Oh,
Anna.
great.
He is from Kenya, and all of you guys will be able to receive your books. And please shoot me a direct message with your address and where we need actually to ship the book. For those who are in South Africa, it's going to be very easy. But for Jeff, who is not in SA, I think I'm going to have to arrange for him a Kindle version or an ebook version that will be that he can actually receive immediately. All right. So well done, Nikki. Thank you very much. I need my T-shirt, by the way, and yeah, I need
Yes,
my Disrupt yourself T-shirt.
you
So
definitely will have it.
all right. So guys, thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Nikki, and it was really such a pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
you and I will talk from tomorrow. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. This was a wow, a vibrant conversation. To be quite honest, a vibrant conversation. And Nikki has been such an amazing lady from start to end. I can feel her energy. I can feel, she's talking from the heart, and definitely showcasing quite a few nuggets. So this is what I want to mention to you guys. Every Monday, we talk on this particular show at 7 p.m. I've had quite a few requests from guys in different jurisdictions asking me to make the show a little earlier and so forth because they are far away. They can't stand at night for them to be able to watch the show. But you know what? We are going to try and play a little bit around with the timing, perhaps 6 p.m. in South Africa or even 5 p.m. But we don't know yet. Not now. Maybe next month we are going to try a few things. But next week, Monday, I am bringing the one and only Mr. Bitcoin, and he's going to talk to us about how he became a millionaire at the age of 21. So this is Paul Dagada. I've had the privilege of meeting Paul in 2018, and I remember buying quite a few of his books as well, Mr. Bitcoin. A very interesting guy in the blockchain space, but also Paul is the fourth industrial revolution commissioner at the presidential office. All right, so he talks quite a lot about the 4IR whenever he travels with the president and so forth. So he's the youth and representing these new technologies for South Africa, and he's been invited at Gibbs and so forth. So Monday next week at 7 p.m., please come in, tune in. We are going to have another blast, and maybe we'll have quite a few books as well to distribute where we talk about Poe. So I love you all, and I thank you very much for being a part of this show. And make sure that you talk to your friends and everybody else who want to be able to learn about what we are doing as entrepreneurs, because this is what we do and we love what we are doing. All right. So thank you again. And yeah, so I look forward to seeing you next week. Okay.
So, can blockchain be a catalyst for development in Africa? Here is our interview with John Lombela.
It's going to be a pretty unique show where we're talking to digital entrepreneurs and black entrepreneurs that are actually doing great things. Let it be in the marketing space, let it be in cryptocurrency. And I brought back John Lombela, a good friend of mine who's been playing in that space for quite a while. John Lombela, John is the cryptocurrency guru. I call him like that.
I'm an entrepreneur myself, all the way from South Africa. It is important to always develop new things, right? So ambitiously build new occasions beyond just financial services. Yes, we believe in the financial services. I mean, Bitcoin, as a matter of fact, was created as a payment system, a peer-to-peer cash electronic system. It all started from there, but it doesn't have to stop there.